Hello fam, what is cracking? It is your girl Lillian Francis here to make learning Ableton less annoying. I'm very excited for our topic today. We are going to be looking at how to take our produced songs and perform them live. I just submitted my 2021 Tiny Desk contest submission. This is my 5th time submitting to the contest, and we're really crossing our tentacles that I do win. So I'm going to be breaking down how I performed my track Pídelo for the Tiny Desk contest. First thing I'm going to say is it's all about finding a balance between like challenge fun and easy fun, right? You want to be participating in your music in a way that is not too hard for you, but hard enough that it makes it interesting. So it keeps you on your toes, but also you're pretty confident that you're not going to fuck up. I'm going to be sharing a lot of tips and techniques that will be useful across many different songs that you'll be performing live. Live guitar looping without a loop pedal, how to create instruments, how to launch scenes, set up follow clips, etc., etc. Without further ado, fam, let us dive right in. Splash! All right, fam, welcome to my Proj. First things first, we have to figure out what we want to perform live and what we want to be in like the backing track. So, right, I obviously can't perform every single instrument live, but there's probably something in every section that I feel good about performing live and will be cool for my audience to watch. So the first thing I do with any song is I will listen all the way through and I will take notes about what I'm hearing that I think I would be able to play live. So I'm gonna go through my song Pídelo right now, and I'm going to share with you which parts I decided to play live and why. So my first section is pretty easy. It is just some guitars that I figured, oh yeah, I'll just loop. I figure I could loop them at the beginning and then somehow bring in the song and kind of drop it right in there. The next section is my verse. And to be honest, I didn't find anything in this that I wanted to perform live. So in this section, I'm just singing. That's another thing. You don't have to perform live in every single section. Like I'm going to be singing the whole time. So if there are some sections I just want to sing and focus on that and like dance and be engaging, then that's cool too. You don't have to do like everything all the time. And then when the second part of the verse comes in, we have this little guitar guy. And I figure I'll just play that live. Next, for the chorus, there's nothing that I really want to perform live here. Nothing jumps out at me as really obvious. I decided to just create an additional little guitar line that I'll be playing over it in the chorus. All right, next we have this little verse. And again, at the first half of the verse, I don't play anything. I'm just singing. And then when the second half of the verse comes in, I'm going to play this little guitar section. And then the chorus comes in, I play my own little riff. Next we have this little bridge, and this one was a pretty obvious one to pick out because I have an instrument here, 3 different variations of the same phone keys wallet instrument. Next, the song flips into this like Spanish part. And in this part, I have something called a mid-cello. So I decided I wanted to play that one live here in the verse and in the pre-chorus. For the chorus, I don't really do anything. I'm just singing, except for at the very end, I decided I wanted to play this little corpus bass part. And then the same thing for the next verse and pre-chorus and garden, etc. So now I have decided what I want to play at every section, or if I don't want to play anything at all for certain sections. Now I'm going to go through and create instruments for the audio tracks that do not have instruments created for them. Here's what I mean by that. This little mid-cello right here, that's not an instrument. It is an audio track, but we can really easily turn it into an instrument by Shift-Command-T, creating a new MIDI track. Now in this case, because my mid-cello is just variations of the same sample, I have this sample 4 semitones tuned up, and then 7, and then 9, and then 11, and then 0, etc. All I have to do to create an instrument out of these samples is I double click my MIDI track here. It will say drop sample here. All I have to do is drag this sample down, and then I can play it like an instrument. Once I've created this instrument, I just save it here so that I can open it up in like my live set project. So I'll save it, and we're gonna call it Pídelo mid-cello. Excellent, we'll find that later. Now, one of the other sounds that I wanted to play was this little corpus bass at the end of my chorus. So what I'm going to do is create a new MIDI track. I'm going to drop on a drum rack, and I'm not going to use a sampler with this one. I'm going to slice this one up and play it on my drum pad because every sample is a little bit different. It's not like my mid cello where everything is the same sample, just tuned differently. For this guy, every hit is different. So I'm going to chop it up using Command E to create some cuts. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. There we go. So I can drag each one of these individually into my drum rack. And I'm just gonna save this guy here as Pídelo Corpus Vice. Sick. And the last thing that we want to do while we're still on this project is to go ahead and deactivate everything that you're going to be playing live. So this means for me, I'm going to deactivate my guitar. Anything they're going to be playing live, you don't want to be on the backing track. Now we can export the backing track and we should be good to go. So just file, export, and then export your track somewhere. All right, fabulous. Time to dive into our other project. Splash. Alrighty, welcome to my live set project. Now I've already set it up to perform live. So now I'm going to take you through and show you how I set it up and what's happening. First off, I have my vocal track right here, which has a little bit of a vocal chain on it. First off, I have this filter here. I don't know why it's so small. Cutting about like 3 decibels around 350 hertz area and then boosting a little bit of the high end. I have a little bit of pitch correction because I'm performing it live and I'm dancing and just want to make sure it sounds good. And then I have one compressor. I have this Roth Air plugin, which adds like breathiness and airiness to a vocal. It's a high-end exciter. I love this plugin. It's free. Check it out. And then I have another compressor doing the damn thing again. And then a little de-esser here. So that is my live vocal chain. And then I have a track here with the Pídelo stem. So this is the entire song with everything that I'm performing live taken out. And then I have this guitar track. First I have the looper because I'm going to be looping my guitar. I have an auto filter because I'm going to be sweeping some frequencies. And then I have this basic guitar tone rack, which just has an amp and then some cabinets, which are basically just filters used in conjunction with amp. And then I have an EQ8 and let's see, I have a little bit of reverb here being parallel processed. And then we have a compressor here, which is getting a sidechain from these ghost drums, which I'll show you in a bit. And then I have a tuner here because it's always good to have a tuner on your guitar chain. Next, I have my lead here, which I'll show you how I use that later. I have these ghost drums, which is what's going to be pumping my guitar, right? It was what we were seeing in the sidechain in my guitar track over here. And then these 3 are the instruments that I'm going to be playing during my set. So I have this vocal synth right here. I have my cello pluck. And I have my wonky bass. And then I have this track over here that is going to be recording my guitar. Just a word about ins and outs before we get started. I have my vocals getting audio from the channel 1 because my XLR cable from my mic is being plugged into the back of my interface in my first channel. And then my guitar is getting audio from my second channel. This is going into a 1/4 inch, so I have my interface set to receive the line signal. And I also have the monitor set to in for my guitar. So no matter when I'm playing, it's going to be heard through the output. I can't remember why I didn't just set my monitor to auto and arm this track, but I think I had a good reason. Anyways, I just have it set to in. All right, let's talk about how I actually got this all to come together. So the first thing that I have going on is a 2-bar intro, and I have my metronome turned on. So let's go ahead and turn on my metronome. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to hear this because I have it routed to my headphones, which is not coming through QuickTime. So at the very beginning of my set, I'm going to hear a 2-bar click track. At the end of that click track, I know it's time for me to start looping my guitar. So here's what I did. I went into my first scene, Ableton 11. We have these scene launching capabilities. If y'all don't have Ableton 11, you can do this with individual clips in tracks, but it is more annoying to do so. So anyways, I set up follow action for the first scene. I have it set here that after 2 bars to da, we are going to go to the next scene. So watch, when I launch this scene, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on my metronome. And I'm going to be hearing this in my headphones because I'm actually going to have my headphones on during my performance. And then it will launch this next scene here, which has 2 clips on it. It has my dummy drums as well as my dummy guitar clip, which has my looping automation on it. So check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, cool. And now these 2 are launched. So let's look into my dummy automation. This is going to activate my looper. Now, I do not have a loop pedal. Otherwise, I could just do this with my foot. But because I do not have a loop pedal, I just automated it. So what are dummy clips? Dummy clips are clips that have information in them, but don't actually make a sound. So this one is being used to automate my looper. And all you have to do to create a dummy clip is drag any piece of audio. So let's drag in my Pídelo and hold down Option to copy it. And then if I turn the gain all the way down, it's just going to be an empty audio clip. So that's what I did here for this dummy clip. And then inside the dummy clip, we can create automation. So I'm going to open my automations tab. I'm going to open my looper, and I'm going to open this state option. Now, what this is automating is this button right here, this multi-purpose transport button. Now, my automation tells it when I want it to start recording, when I want it to stop, etc. Back into my automation, you'll see that right off the bat, it is going to be on this record setting. It's going to record for 2 bars, and then it is going to go to play. It's going to play for 1 bar, and then it's going to overdub. So this will allow me to play on top of what I've already played. That will happen for 2 bars, and then it will play for a bar, and then it will overdub for another 2 bars because I'm stacking 3 different guitar parts on top of each other. And then it is just going to keep playing. What this ghost drums is doing here is this is just a really simple, just 4 on the floor kick drum pattern. And like we saw here in my guitar track, we have this compressor on that is getting audio from my ghost drum. So every time my drum beat comes through here and it passes this threshold, my guitar track is going to be lowered in volume by, this is a random ratio, for every 2.46 decibels that come through, only 1 decibel is actually going to be heard on the other end. So it's just going to create like a pumping effect. By the way, at the very end, I'm going to like demonstrate how I do this all. At this point in time, I have built this loop of guitars that all sound beautiful together, and I have to figure out how to bring it from these looping guitars and then to have my song Pídelo actually start. And I wanted kind of more of a transition between just like the looping guitars and the start of the song. So what I did is I created this lead here. This lead is just a lead that will fall right into. Anyways, I know that this song, Pídelo, starts in C. So I wanted to create a swell in C that would just like diffuse into the start of the song. So how I did this was just created a new audio track, Command T. I'm good to arm it. Let's throw some reverb on there. And I love the hybrid reverb because it has a sweet shimmer algorithm and it adds this like shimmer an octave higher, and that would be really cool for lead. So let's try this out. I'm just going to record me playing C at different parts along the fretboard. Cool, now I'm gonna stack all of these C's on top of each other. And I'm just gonna resample this like mega giant C. Set my input to resampling so it will listen to everything that the master can hear. So let's hit record, and right now this guitar group is soloed. Sick. Let's chop it off here at the 2-bar mark, and then I'm actually going to drag this by holding down Shift to be 8 bars long. Then I hit R to reverse it. Let's also switch it over to complex mode. So that's basically what I did to create this lead right here. So at this point in time, we have all of our guitars looping, sounding beautiful. And then I'm going to launch at the end of one of these loops. I'm going to launch this clip right here on my push. I'm going to be in session view on my push. I'm going to launch this little clip. And then for the first 4 bars, I'm just going to pull down my auto filter. And then for the last 4 bars, while this lead is swelling, I'm going to pull it back up. So my guitars are opening back up again. This lead is breathing. And then when it's about to go, I'm going to launch this scene right here. When I launch this scene right here, it's gonna stop playing my lead, right? It's not looped, so it'll just stop. and then it will start Pídelo, and it will start this new dummy clip, which has new looping information. But at the end of this 4-bar clip, I'm going to launch this scene, and Pídelo will start. But my loop is still going to be playing at this point because my dummy clip here, let's go to the looper state. The dummy clip is saying for these first 8 bars, keep playing the loop. Yeah, we want to hear those guitars looping. And then after those bars, we're going to stop. Now I had to listen to my song and think, okay, where are my verses? When the verse comes in, I don't want to hear the looping guitars. So my verses are yonder bars long. And then when my chorus starts again, my looper is reactivated to play, and then the loop guitars are playing again, and then they stop when my verse comes in again, and then they come back in for the next chorus, and then they stop. And that's the last time you hear them throughout the song. And then throughout the rest of the song, I'm just either playing my Phone Keys Wallet vocal synth, my cello pluck, or my wonky bass. And I'm gonna be playing them on my pushy push. Another thing to keep in mind is let's go into our settings, Command comma, and make sure that you have exclusive arm turned off, because we're going to be recording this. And in order to record this and play things at the same time, I am going to need to arm multiple tracks. So I'm going to have my vocals recording, for example, and turn that off so I'm not being recorded twice. And then I'm also going to be recording my guitars over here. So this track is also going to be in record mode. And then as I switch between my different instruments on my push, you'll see a different MIDI clip is going to be armed every time. A note about my recorded guitars, I can't record my guitars in this track because I have this dummy clip playing, so it would just be like recording my dummy clip. So instead, I'm just using another audio track that is getting audio from my guitar, and then I'm just recording this track into this. And then also in terms of like recording, when I'm playing my different instruments, these guys are being recorded into Ableton. So at the end of my performance, I'll have my vocals recorded, I have everything recorded, and the pieces of my instrument that I'm playing will be recorded when I'm playing them. And when I'm not playing them, they're not being recorded, right? Because they won't be armed. All right, now for the last part of this video, I'm going to be playing my Tiny Desk concert version. And while I'm performing it in that version, I'm going to be just playing it right here in my room as well, and doing a shot of my push and a shot of my computer, so you guys can see like what's actually happening and how this is all lining up in real time. So let's do that now. la luna, todo a su manera, todo tiene su hora. Las estrellas son gotillas, escucha, todo lo que dices volverá. Cuidado con la onda, resuena con las olas, olas. Happy the fool who makes no fool of himself, battles get dusty when left on the highest shelf. So take yourself down before someone else gets to you. Fill up your own cup of its never enough. And when the sun goes down, I'll be where the moon comes up. When the lights turn off, I'll be glowing in the dark. Aprende de la luna, asoma en la sombra, brilla con lo que encuentra. Si el mundo es para comer, pásame el agua, tengo sed. Recibes lo que pides, pídelo, pídelo. Heart's waiting for the sun till it dawned on me. I can't stop looking now that I finally see. If one thing's certain, the night always turns into day. So while your moon let's dance the night away. And when the sun goes down, I'll be where the moon comes up. And when the lights turn off, I'll be glowing in the dark. And that's how it works. I hope that it's been interesting to see my process and how I do this. Obviously, every song is going to need a different treatment because every song has different instruments and different styles and just different ways to approach things, but hopefully you learned some good tips and tricks and you can use these techniques in your songs. So if you enjoyed, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. It would help me with my ego as well as the algorithm. So thank you so much for being here and I hope to see you in another video soon. Later, dudes!